prepared. All right, okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the program. Let's see, I don't know if I might be swinging around, will you be able to?
Yeah, I got all the way to the, yeah, we're good.
Hey,
Let me move.
let her move. All right. Okay,
You gotta come in like Vanna White, and then.
Right.
Is it recording? Yeah.
it's recorded, yes. All right, we just thank God for you all being here. We're gonna go over a few things. We're talking about emergency preparedness, disaster awareness, and so we want everybody to be prepared. We know, of course, the Bible tells us in the last days that perilous times shall come, and so we have to prepare even for those perilous times. He also tells us about taking the mark of the beast. That's something that's coming to pass as we speak. And so we have to be prepared that we have what we need. Because he said we won't be able to buy, sell, nor trade without the mark of the beast, except we accept this mark of the beast. So, it's better to get prepared now, get the things that you need, that you will have what you need. One thing that we're dealing with now, even the Bible in Revelation, it talks about inflation. So we're dealing with inflation right now. And so things, we have to continue to realize that prices are going to continue to go up. We know that the administration that's in office now are not for everybody. We see that they're trying to cut out food stamps, they're trying to cut out things, and that, where the average person won't be able to buy, okay? What is this lining everybody up to do? Lining everybody up to accept the mark of the beast. You see how they were eliminating jobs. Now, how can you eliminate millions and millions of jobs and then take the food stamp, take the sources, the resources that they can fall back on from under people? Okay, so when you do, you people lose jobs, now they have no way of providing for themselves, and they're looking for help, and so there's no government help. Okay, so now they come up with this system that's, well, you got to do this in order to get it. So it gets people in line. And we look at some of these companies, these billion-dollar companies, are forcibly firing people. Even Amazon fired so many people. Why? Why would they fire all these people? There's a reason for that. They're cutting back. They're bringing AI in, mechanical things that's just going to take the place of a lot of jobs. So as people continue to lose jobs, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So it's better to, the Bible doesn't tell us that, but we heard the cliche, better to have and not need than to need and not have. So we have to realize that it's time now that we start to store up, start to get things in order, that we are prepared in these perilous times. The Bible says in Matthew 24 that, for us not to be deceived. That's the first thing he says. There's a lot of deception going on. And when we continue to read on down, he tells us about all these things, earthquakes in diverse places, and all the things that's going to be happening, and wars and rumors of wars. We're experiencing that, famines and pestilences in diverse places. So, we have to be prepared at every cost. Say, for instance, if, when we look at the tornado that just hit St. Louis, had some of them people been prepared, had some of this stuff that's on this table, they would be okay right now. They would have what they need to sustain themselves for a certain length of time. Even, if they had it ahead of time, now they would be able to fall back and still get the stuff that they need. But it's not what you have, it's how you prepare it, how you store up, how you get it, how you treat it once you got it. Okay, because you could get all these things, and just like a lot of people you can go get big bags of salt, you put it down there, and then when the rain hits your house, you don't have a roof. Now your salt's gone. Heavy bag. Okay? So we're going to teach you how to properly store up in buckets, food grade buckets, how to use oxygen absorbers, how to that it seals your food and it makes it last longer. It's almost like canning. So we got a lot of things that's out. We're going to show you how to purify water, even rainwater that comes off your roof. We're going to talk about just different things that you need to clean the water with instead of just going without. We have a rain barrel that you can collect water in. That rain barrel will be used for, flushing your toilet. Not only flushing your toilet, but you get some out of there, you can purify that water, and now it's good to drink. So if there is an event of a earthquake, and when there's an earthquake, you lose water, you lose power, you lose gas to your house. So what are you to do? What can you do? How can you survive? Without water, you can only survive 3 days. Amen. So if you have water stored up, you got water that you can have stored up. I have a couple of these 55-gallon drums on my deck right now full of water. Okay. These are in here, but in a minute they're going to be full of water. Amen. You also can resort to your hot water tank at home. Your hot water tank will hold at least 40 gallons. If you have a 40-gallon tank or a 50-gallon tank, that contains water in it. You just have to basically know how to access that water because your pipes are closed up. There's a valve on the bottom of the hot water tank that you can open that valve. If you open a valve, the water will come out very slowly. Bloop, bloop, bloop. But if you open one of the valves upstairs, the hot water line at the sink, it'll flow a lot freely because air has to go into the line in order for the water to come out. So that's just that's a prize ticket for you right there. But you have to know these things. The Bible says, my people they perish or they are destroyed for lack of knowledge. He wants us to be wise. Wise as the serpent, but harmless as doves. And so we have to realize that God gives us wisdom. We have to learn how to use the wisdom that we have to survive. Amen. So we're going to go and talk about, I'm going to start from this end over here. For one, learning how to grow food. Learning how to grow your own food. Store up on some seeds. Store up on some of the things that you like to eat. You're going to want some lettuce, you're going to want some carrots, you're going to want some greens. Go ahead and get some of those seeds and store them up. Put them in something where you can, they'll stay dry, and then you can you'll have those in the time of need. One thing that you also get everything else that you need to go along with it. You're talking potting soil and things of that nature. Say, for instance, you begin to, if we get some kind of chemical overspray, and you got bags of soil that did not get affected by the soil that's outside, now you can grow inside. You can grow indoors by using a natural grow light, okay? That will help your plants to grow continually, okay? Day and night, you have sunlight or the ultraviolet rays that will feed your plants. And then I encourage you to start practicing and learning how to do it. That way you have everything you need. You know exactly what you need. I recommend that you go through and take time to do drills, just like you do on your job. A lot of times you do fire drills or you do emergency drills. Learn how to do a drill for yourself. Try and go without lights and water and gas for 2 or 3 days and see how you sustain yourself. You can get yourself prepared. Let your kids deal with the same thing and just kind of see how you survive, okay? Pretend like you don't have any water, your water's not flushing in your toilet. Now you take some of your water, pour it in the back of the toilet, go through the whole exercise, because what? You're going to have to learn how to do it, okay? I was at work the other day, last Friday, and all of a sudden, there was no water at all in the building, okay? No water at all in the building. So we have protocol that we have to follow. There's a lot of things that we had to do. Fortunately, I knew the protocol and knew what to do. We had to supply the residents with water. You got 60, 70 senior citizens or people, residents in this facility. Everybody got to use the bathroom, all kinds of stuff. So what do you do? So we had to really follow this protocol. We also had to do a fire watch, make sure that because of the system, the fire alarm system wouldn't work, the sprinkler system wouldn't work. So knowing what to do in these instances is your key to survival for you and your family. So take time to do some drills. All right. And again, storing up. When you store up food, get the foods that you normally eat. Get the foods that you that you always like to eat. You know, if you don't eat beets, don't get beets. You know, but get the things that's good for survival. You know, some non-perishable goods. You get mashed potatoes, you get your noodles, you get your rices, you get canned goods, and all these things to sustain yourself. And furthermore, when we talk about canned goods, don't be afraid to go get the big old cans, okay? You know, I was at the store the other day, or as a matter of fact today, this can was $1, okay? But this big can right here was $4. So I can get more out of this big can than I will with this. So it's good to do, you know, a combination of two, because you don't know who you might have to feed besides yourself. You know, some people may have, you may be thinking you got this 2 in the house, that you know, it's just me and so-and-so in the house, but you never know. Somebody might come over that, you know, now you know, your kids might come over, oh, we can't do it, we don't have that. Come on, okay? I know we saying nobody's getting in, but if your heart is that cold, that's not Christ-like. So you're gonna let people in. You're gonna feel sorry for your neighbors. So, you know, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So prepare yourself no matter what. Okay? If First Lady and I had to eat baked beans for 3 weeks straight, that's what we're gonna eat, baked beans. Because we're talking about survival. You have to think about this is survival. In the worst case scenario, what can you do? What will you do? What will you be prepared for? Amen. And that way, you know exactly. You have to start thinking like, okay, if you were camping, you know, what things would you normally have to do without? Can you make fire? Can you do this? Can you cook? How can you cook? You know, and you prepare yourself in that regard. Okay? But when you start packing and storing up, make sure you get your spices. You gotta get your spices. I got big spices. I'll be prepared for a long time. Okay? I got a big thing of garlic. My breath don't stink, but I got some garlic, right? Okay? We got some chopped onions, dried onions right here. Okay? If I don't have any to grow, I like onions in my food, so I'm gonna sprinkle some onions in my soup, make some onion soup water if I had to, right? All right. I know many of y'all like tuna. Get you some tuna. It's good. It's the vitamins are in there and everything.
Protein.
Protein, yes. Honey. Honey does not spoil. It does not go bad. It may crystallize, but it can be revived with a little bit of warmth, a little heat. This has been kind of in a cold area, so it crystallized up a little bit. But if you keep it in some warm water, it'll come back. So don't throw your honey away just because it's solid. Okay. I've got some minced garlic here. Because of the acidity in this, it will not go bad. Okay. Get all of the pasta that you need, different types of pasta. Make sure you get sauce. I'm gonna tell you something. I've seen a lot of people eat spaghetti with no meat. I'm telling you now. If you have nothing else, you'll eat what you have. Okay? So get get all that you can get. You know, make sure you get some egg noodles. You get some. If you store away your freezer right, you can have chicken and ground beef and everything else, but nobody else has nothing. So you have to use wisdom in this time. One thing that I also recommend is that when you go into the stores, you go to the fast food restaurants and you get ketchup, the little condiment packets and stuff like this, save them. Okay, they have a pretty long shelf life. They hold up pretty long. But this is the thing. When it comes down to major catastrophes, sometimes you're not in the cleanest environment. So now you can hand somebody, here, take this, here, take these. They don't have to go into your good stash of, squeezing your bottle. Okay? Let's see. Also, store up as much as you can. You don't know how long you will be, in the position that you're in. Okay, so you want to store up as much as you can with different things that you can use. Go to, I recommend that you go to Costco, Business Center, stock up on things, go to Sam's, get the bulk thing. Don't be thinking you're going to get just one little thing of granulated salt for 49 cents, thinking that's going to hold you for a while. Salt is good for so many different things. salt is used for purification. You know, you can melt things with it. It's good for a lot of things. So don't be afraid to get a lot of salt. Okay. I know many of you bake with sugar. You cook with sugar. When as a kid, have you ever been in the kitchen and you had to make you a bowl of cereal and you didn't have no sugar? Oh, it was a terrible day. All right. Make sure you get some oatmeal. Okay, oatmeal is good for you. You know, you want to get things that will keep you healthy as well as keep you full. Okay, you know, you don't eat. Some people may say, "I don't eat oatmeal." Well, when you have nothing else, you would chomp on that oatmeal. All right, and you need a lot of sugar in your oatmeal. So make sure you get that. Soy sauce never goes bad. The acidity in it, the salt in it, it will not go bad. Okay. Make sure you stock up on beans, different types of beans, pinto beans, northern beans. Get them in the can, get them in the bud and thing. If I had to eat beans and rice, make it a meal, beans and rice, okay? So, you know, if something happens, me and First Lady, that's all we're gonna eat, beans and rice. Okay? So store up with those things. But like I say, you get the white food grade buckets. These buckets have the rubber seal in them, okay, to where once you lock it down, it seals it airtight. But what you want to do is get these little oxygen absorbers, okay, and you pour you're gonna pour your beans over here or your rice. You pour it down and you can put some of these oxygen absorbers down in there. And then put, you might want to put maybe 4 of them or 5 of them. You put this on there, seal it up. It's airtight. Eventually, you'll kind of see it. Sometimes I got a bucket at home where it's sucked in because it sucked the air out. That way, that whatever's in that bucket is airtight. It's going to last for many, many years, 15, 20, 30 years. Okay? The reason you want to get these particular type lids is because, again, they're airtight. There's these type of lids that do not seal properly, okay? Now, if you're gonna do some stuff like some condiments where you kind of want to keep on rotating your goods, you can put it in this type of lid, especially if it has stuff in there. Say, for instance, you got medications or something like that. I don't recommend you go to get your storage, but say, for instance, middle of the night, you need something, you can go to your bucket, and you don't have to go to the store if you needed something, if you kept some of your stuff in these other type buckets. So there's been times I was out of my Alfredo sauce. Needed some Alfredo sauce. So I went downstairs and popped the bucket open. I was like, I gotta pop my bucket open. Okay? So some things you can keep in there. This we know already is airtight, it's already sealed. So you can put those type of things in there if you're gonna constantly be rotating those things out. Some things they'll have a good shelf life, but you still want to kind of keep rotation things, some of the things you want to do, okay? I'm going to tell you, once you put this lid on it, you can take this bucket and probably throw it pretty far. That lid is going to stay on there. This is like a 5-gallon bucket of paint. You know, 5-gallon bucket of paint fall over, that lid normally stays tight, okay? So you want food grade buckets. How do you know it's food grade bucket? Well, if you look under the bottom, there's a little triangle under here with the number, anything from 1 through 5, it's food grade, okay? But usually they'll have a 2 on it, okay? Let's see, this one has a 2. Usually they'll have a 2 on these. That means it's food grade, food can go in them, and it won't, the plastic won't break down, okay?
Is it fireproof?
They're not fireproof, okay? And that's where, again, you kind of keep them in the basement, in the corner, or something like that. God forbid you have a fire in your house, okay? If you have a fire, you just lost it, if that burns up. But if it's in the basement, a lot of times the fire does not get to the stuff in the basement unless it starts in the basement in that particular room. So you want to kind of keep that room separated. You want to keep it, keep everything organized in there and neat. Keep fires away from that room. That's your survival room, okay? Let's see. Also, get you a vacuum sealer. You can take some of your goods and put them in, vacuum seal it. It'll last a lot longer. Your meats, things like that. You can cook your meat, and then vacuum seal it, and and throw it in the freezer. It will last a lot longer than it will be if it's raw, okay? Alright, so make sure you invest in a vacuum sealer, good vacuum sealer. Make sure you pack away a can opener when you're packing stuff away and storing things. You need one in the kitchen and one in your extra storage. Say for instance, the people that had the tornado, okay? Some of their houses was ripped away. I'm sure it took some of their stuff with them. If they had downstairs in their little storage bin, in one of these buckets, their supplies, tools and different things that you need, keep them in, watertight containers if you can get them. And then that way you have what you need, okay? Utensils, make sure you put utensils down there. You're talking about, again, something might happen, be prepared, okay? Maybe where you can't get the stuff upstairs, and now you got stuff downstairs. God forbid a fire, your kitchen burns up. That stuff's gonna be shot, but now you got surplus of supplies downstairs in your basement, okay? But store up on these goods, these dry goods. We're gonna go over to medications now. Okay, well, let me say this here. Make sure you give Fido something to eat, okay? Some of you got pit bulls and things. You don't want to be Fido's food. Once he gets hungry, he might start to try and bite you. So make sure you give Fido some food, to where he can eat as well. Don't forget about Fido, okay? Now let's go on over to medications. Make sure you get the medications that you need, some vitamins, different things that you'll need. What do they call these? Huh? Ice packs, hot packs. You want these type of things. Why? Because say for instance something happens, major catastrophe happens, and you cannot get to the hospital. Okay, the hospitals are overcrowded. Remember when COVID hit, a lot of these things have happened already, and we see the outcome of it, but we don't learn from it. Okay, so this is the thing with the tornado, with COVID. With sometimes you might lose water, sometimes you lose power. Those are things to think about. Say for instance, something major happens. If that's a short term, how would you survive if it was longer term? What would you do to get through life and continue life if it was a longer term? Say sometimes we lose power for overnight, and we're okay with that. But just like what happened in Texas, where they lost power. Water lines froze up, there was ice in people's houses, it was just a total catastrophe, and it was that way for some time. How long were they without water? How long were they without electricity? It was quite a while. And so how do you survive in those kind of elements? They were burning your furniture, but if you have things that you need, if you're prepared, you will be able to sustain yourself, okay? But again, make sure you get Band-Aids, make sure you got a good first aid kit. There's quite a bit of stuff up here. There's some bleed stop. This is for for minor cuts and large bleeding wounds. You can pour some of this in a wound and it'll stop the bleeding, the blood flow. That means you have a major accident. Say for instance, something fall on your arm and slice your arm wide open, and you have no way to wrap it up. You just pour some of that in there. It'll help hold and stop that wound. It'll help stop the bleeding. Okay. Chest seal. This is a vented chest seal. You can put it over your something if you're bleeding in your chest or something like that. Let's see. Sometimes you might have sinus issues. Get you some Vicks Vapor Rub. You want to get things that you normally keep in your medicine cabinet plus some. Okay, things that you already see in there. Some triple antibiotic ointment. Make sure you have plenty of that. Why? Because if you get this is what's going to help you fight bacteria and stuff. If you get cuts and wounds and sores and things like that. You want to make sure you have all that. Make sure you get some, this is calcium, magnesium, and zinc, okay? This is good for your blood, for your bones and your joints. It builds your immune system. It's a lot, but you can get each one of these separately, but if you can, go out and get where it's all three together in one vitamin: calcium, magnesium, and zinc, okay? This is what people were taking to fight COVID off, okay? It helps with those things, all right? Make sure you get something for headaches: Tylenol, ibuprofen. Fish oil gives you the vitamins that you need for that, okay? Elderberry. Elderberry, it fights all kinds of viruses and stuff like that. It's good for your immune system. It builds your immune system. Okay. How about a whistle? Okay. Emergency come. Say for instance, you in your house. You have gone downstairs to get away from the tornado. You went in your basement. Your house collapsed, and you're stuck in the basement, and you're in this little bitty room where all your supplies are. Okay. You got a whistle. Start blowing your whistle. They'll find you. Other than that, they'll be hollering for you. And they may, you might have lost your voice. You can't really say too much, but that whistle you can hear, it's a loud, piercing sound. Okay, so make sure you put a whistle in your emergency first aid kit. Okay, pack you some Lysol, cleaning things up, keeping things clean, keeping things sterile. Okay, how about some off? Okay, say for instance you got. Just like with the tornado, you got a whole environment that's wet. Mosquitoes will live and fester in that. You keep you some off sprayed on you, or sprayed around you. Pack up you some soap. Best soap is Dial, the antibacterial soap. Some people believe, well, I like Dove, I like this. You better be glad you got something. Keep this Dial. This is emergency safe. Okay, help you keep you clean. But if you want Dove, I know some people gotta have a Dove, pack you some Dove. If your skin, that's what helps me out. Pack you some Dove, okay? Go on here and get your Dove going. All right? Take what you need, store up what you need. These things they might be affordable now. You don't know what it's gonna be in 2 months. Okay? So it's better to get it while you can get it. Go to dollar stores, and pack and stock up on your Band-Aids, your alcohols, your peroxides. Go to the dollar store. You get it a lot cheaper there. This is stuff that you're storing up for long term. So it's okay to go to the dollar store. Well, I like this particular brand. Well, get that for emergency sake, okay? Emergency sake, you may not be able to get your brand that you want. Okay, make sure you get you some wraps, different size wraps. You may have to wrap your arm up, wrap your leg up, okay? How about make sure you got a tourniquet, okay? Tie it up, stop some bleeding, stop that blood flow. I'm one that likes to self-medicate, okay? I have a lot of different wraps and things of that nature. One for my knee, one for my elbow, one for my shoulder, one for my wrist, one for my finger. We got this one here for the finger. If I break a finger, you can, kind of help yourself out. Remember, sometimes in major catastrophes, you cannot get to the hospital. The doctor can't come and see you. The hospitals are overcrowded. You need to be able to sustain yourself no matter what. Make sure you take peroxide and alcohol. Store up on peroxide and alcohols, okay? You can do a whole lot with that, with peroxide and alcohol. Keep yourself clean, keep things purified. Make sure you take some toothpaste, toothbrushes, pack some of that stuff away. Remember I said I'm gonna eat a lot of garlic? Well, you don't want to be around folks and, got funk mouth, so make sure you take some toothpaste, all right? Woo! Okay. Let's see. This here is something that's really unique and really good. I recommend that everybody get one. Even if you don't need it if you don't need it right now, get one anyway. This is a respirator or choke. It takes say for instance, if you're getting choked, this thing goes over your mouth. It goes in here, and you can draw out whatever's in your throat. Okay, it's good. I remember a guy on TV, on Facebook. He rescued a baby. That's where I saw this from. And I said, "Oh, I got to get one of those." They were at a restaurant, and the baby was choking, and he went out to his truck, and he got one of these, and he put it over the baby's mouth, and he drew the obstruction out. This, you get these in different sizes. They got 3 different sizes in here. One for a baby, okay? One for a smaller adult, and one for somebody like me with a big mouth. All right, so make sure you get one of those. Very handy. You need these now. Put this. You can put, if you get 2 of them. Put one in your kitchen, or your dining area, wherever you eat at. You might need to save your life now. You can't have this downstairs in a bucket. And then I gotta go downstairs and figure out where it is, okay? You know, you wanna be able to access this stuff right now. This is just spare stuff that you wanna keep, but that's something that's good. Also, for all your medical supplies, put them in blue buckets. That way you can identify them easily, okay? Yeah, so we still got some good stuff in here. We got plenty of antibiotic ointment in here. This is one of my supply buckets, so, you know, I'm just showing y'all what I got. Don't be coming to my house telling me I need some sugar and some antibiotic on it, okay? And I ain't needing none. But we put the food in white buckets, we put the medical supplies in blue buckets, and then we put the water in the black buckets. Okay, we'll talk about the water once we get down there. Okay? This is a heating blanket. Okay? Somebody might be suffering from hypothermia. You take this heating blanket, you put it over them, and it keeps them warm. In cold weather, those are perfect. I recommend that everybody get them a My Hero fire blanket. Okay, these you get online. This can save your life and save your house. Remember you talked about the fire. These you can get online. The more you get, the cheaper they are. I got quite a few of these and handed them out as Christmas gifts. So that's something that you can do for your loved ones. And what happens is, if you hang it on the wall, mine is not in here, okay? But you pull down this, there's supposed to be a strap on here. The strap is on the blanket. You pull the strap down and it frees the blanket, and then you throw it over your stove, whatever, grease fire, whatever. It will extinguish your fire, okay? If somebody was on fire on their body, had fire in their body, you could wrap them up in that blanket. You could just go to them and just wrap them in that blanket. And then they got different sizes as well. So I recommend that everybody get one of these, put one in your emergency kit, put one in your kitchen. That way you have one on hand at all times. Another thing that's good to have is a fire extinguisher. Everybody should have a fire extinguisher in their kitchen. No matter what. Get you a fire extinguisher, put it, you can either put it, sometimes people put it under the sink, which is not good. If you can hang it on the wall, that's good. Hang it by the door, wherever you know to get it, and go grab it. One thing about a fire extinguisher, it doesn't help if you have it and don't know how to use it. Okay, they have an emergency pull cord from it. You pull that out, which releases the handle, and then when you're spraying, you spray at the base of the fire. You spray at the base, and that's where the actual fire is. The flame rises up. You just shooting through the flame if you just shoot it up high. So always aim at the base of the fire, the lower part, okay? Make sure you get you some good lotion in your first aid kit, okay? Ain't nothing worse than being ashy, okay? You can keep yourself lubed up, oiled up, okay? Anybody got any questions? Anybody?
I got a question. They won't be able to see you with the lotion on if you in the door.
Who won't be able to see you? Well, that's for your own benefit, because you know how it is when you're feeling dry and stuff. You know, well, I need some lotion. Not what other people will see, but you know, it'll make you feel better. You know, you're like, whoo, my hands are so dry. Hands get dry, they start cracking and stuff. So make sure you lotion or some Vaseline. Take some petroleum jelly. Package some jelly down there in your first aid kit. Get everything that you normally use, and then figure out what else you might use that you don't have. One thing that's very important, and I've had the opportunity to use it by myself right now, and that is a disposable skin stapler, okay? I don't know, we got one up in here somewhere. If not, somebody from the last thing took it. I don't know, but I had to use one. I have one in my truck for when I'm working, and I ended up cutting my thumb, and it wouldn't stop bleeding. So me, because I'm kind of tough like that, I decided to go out to my truck so I can keep working, get my little stapler, and I stapled my hand and kept working.
That made it worse.
Go ahead.
Doesn't it hurt?
I mean, it's quick. It was already hurting, so I couldn't get no worse. I was already cut, and I was trying to stop the bleeding, so it wouldn't stop. You know, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go home. I didn't want to have to go home and to get some medical attention. So I went to the truck, cleaned it up a little bit. That's why, again, having some peroxide, no matter where you go, cleaned it up, did that, took that stapler, click, okay? But you can get these online. Again, say for instance, you're in a bad situation and you have no way out. You cut yourself, you're injured, you can't get out. What are you gonna do? You gonna lay there and bleed to death? No, you need to be able to stitch yourself up, okay? Because remember now, your house is caved in or something like that, if the worst case scenario. And you're in there, you're down there by yourself and you're bleeding, now you gotta stop that bleeding, okay? All right. So you gotta think of all kinds of things and be prepared. It's better to have and not need than to need and not have, okay? Make sure you take some hand sanitizer. You're down there, you're trying to eat, you can kind of, wash your hands or whatever a little bit with that. Keep yourself cleaned up, okay? Pack some hand sanitizing wipes, okay? Try and keep things cleaned up in your environment, no matter what, okay? Moving right along. Yeah, this is a first aid bag. It's got a lot of other stuff in here too. I'm sure it's got, roll of toilet tissue. First aid, okay. You got heat patches in here. How about some Q-tips? You gotta have some Q-tips. I like to clean my ears. They say don't clean your ears with Q-tips, but I have to do that. Some more bleed stuff. We got some more antibiotic ointment. I got enough antibiotic ointment for a while, so I'm good. All right.
What about Pepto-Bismol?
Pepto-Bismol. I was gonna say something for allergies. You might have some allergies. Take some allergy medicine down there. Put that in your box. You want to get everything that you can think of that you may have, or even if you don't have allergies, somebody else might be in your area that may have allergies. Whether it's a tornado or an earthquake or whatever, get some stuff that you might not even need. Like I said, get the stuff that you already have in your cabinet, plus some. Get that just in case. Okay, just in case I have this, or just in case somebody else needs this, I'll have it. Okay.
And with allergies, just in case you find out you're allergic to something.
Just in case you find out you're allergic to something, right? See, so you'll have that to keep you. Okay. Make sure you put plenty of tape in there. Waterproof tape, that is. Waterproof tape, okay? Headlamp, okay? How you in the dark, and you can put this on your head, and now you can see what you're doing without, and your hands will be free. So get a couple of these headlamps, so that way you can do what you need to do, okay? All right, now we're going over to sanitizing and stuff like that. But in the event of an emergency, a major catastrophe, earthquake, whatever it is, nuclear war, major power outage, whatever, get you a weather radio, okay? We have two different types. We have this one here that runs on batteries. And then we have this one here is one that you crank. It's called a crank one. Okay, so you can crank it up, it creates its own electricity, and then it will work. So it has a flashlight on it. It's got quite a few different things on it, but it's got several different lights on it. But try and get you a crank emergency radio. Okay, it's got a little crank on it. All right, these tablets are potassium iodide tablets. Potassium iodide. Not iodine, iodide. Remember, we used to have iodine. It was that red liquid that they used back in the day. And I'm sure if any of you had babies, you remember going in there and they rubbed some stuff on you before they gave you a shot or whatever, or they did anything. That little red liquid that they put on you, that was iodine. Okay, not that you had babies, but any kind of surgery you had. They would clean your skin with that before they cut you, okay? That's iodine, it's that red liquid. These are iodide, potassium iodide. These are very, very important. Okay, we're talking about nuclear stuff now, simply because they are talking nuclear wars. Everybody's getting amping up and ramping up this nuclear warhead stuff, okay? Trump just the other day said we're gonna start practicing nuclear drills and, firing off missiles and practicing these missiles. Well, say for instance, if we do get into a nuclear war, okay, and you end up into your little bunker in your basement, okay, but you're exposed somewhat, you take some of these, okay, what happens is, once you exposed to radiation, the radiation starts to shut down your organs, okay, one by one, they start to shut down. This reverses the process of that. So order some of these, put them in your emergency kit, okay? I pray that we don't experience a nuclear war, but the way we're going, we don't know what we're going to get, okay? So it's a likely possibility that we may encounter one. There's what you call an EMP attack. We might experience that, where they shoot a missile over the United States and drop it and it explodes and it knocks out our power grid. It's called an EMP, electronic magnetic pulse. And what happens is it shorts out our electrical system. Now, if it shorts out the electrical system, you might be out without electricity for 2, 3, 6 months. So that's why it's so important to get prepared just in case. These things are not, it's not if it'll happen, it's when it's gonna happen. That's what I'm hearing, that's what I've heard before. It's not if it's when. Remember, if you guys remember that balloon that flew over the United States, there's 2 balloons that flew over the United States, last year? Okay, remember that? Well, that was China. They called it a spy balloon. I believe they were spying to see how long it would take the United States to react to it, and what would we do? Well, all it takes is for them to send up another balloon, remotely detonated in the air, and it will shoot off this explosion, nuclear explosion, and it will short out our electrical system. Okay, that's a strong possibility. We had a thing that more than likely we would get some attacks on our infrastructure, our transportation system, our electrical system, and communications, okay? And I know y'all remember when the boat hit the bridge. I believe that was a trial run.
I saw that.
When that boat hit that bridge, I believe that was a trial run because they lost what? Electrical power, okay? That was more than likely a practice run, or it was an attack that did not, it got carried out, but it did not do the magnitude that it should have done, okay? Not too long ago, also, we had an attack on communications, where 911 went blank. It went out for a while in certain states. 911 system was shut down, okay? Again, attacks on communication, okay, that's what that was. And when we look at these things, these are terrorist attacks that are more than likely they're sample runs or trial runs to see how we respond to these things. We had not too long ago, and you can look some of this stuff up, probably about 10 or 12 years ago or so, we had some people that tried to attack our power grid, okay? They tried to attack it, but they did not carry it out, I don't think. But look that up, how many attacks the United States have had on the power grid in the last 20 years. Look that up, you'll get some answers on it, okay? So this stuff, what we're talking about, it's worthwhile to invest in, get yourself prepared for, because you just never know. Again, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have, okay? We're gonna go on over, in the event of a nuclear war, you gotta get yourself some respirators, okay? You wanna be able to protect yourself. And it may not be anything, it could be a chemical war, okay? Where they do something chemically to our air, okay? They can set something off above and it can be in our air. What will we do? Okay, get you make sure you get some hazmat suits, okay? And something to cover up with, something that you can breathe into. Now you can still be covered, that the chemical warfare will not affect your skin. if it affects your skin, it gets into your pores, it can still kill you, whether you're breathing it or not, okay? You know, notice that's a full face shield. Some people try and get just the one that covers their face. Well, your eyes are, it's straight into your bloodstream, okay? Something gets in your eyes, it can penetrate into your blood system, okay? So this is a full face shield, covers up your eyes and everything. Only thing that's not covered is your ears, but your mouth, your nose, your eyes, okay? So invest in some of those, all right? Make sure you get some lighting. We got these particular types of lights for night lights. These run by battery. There are some that you can get by solar. We have the solar ones that are in the thing. I let them, they're charging. But get some of the exterior solar lights that you put on the outside of your house. Therefore, when if power goes out, you can charge them outside, bring them inside at night, and now you got solar light. You got some lighting that you can use to get you through the night. You'll have lights. You won't have to worry about batteries and flashlights. Batteries eventually die out anyway. Even if you're storing them up, they will die out. So, you know, you're doing stuff like that. Okay.
So the whole freezer for the batteries don't work anymore? Freezing batteries don't work anymore?
It'll probably work, it just depends. It'll bring them back to life, but there's still a short span. I remember that.
Yeah.
Used to freeze the battery and bring it back to life. But you know, you can still get batteries if you want, but it's easier to have something solar powered because now you got continual. If you send it outside in the daytime, it lights up, and then when you at night, you don't have to worry about batteries at all. Okay, so you can get both. You can get some batteries, store up batteries. Batteries, like I said, just have a short. They have a shelf life as well, so they'll end up dying out. Okay. All right. I took the liberty of making these fancy little heaters. Okay, and basically all this is a paint can. And what happens is you put a roll, down in here there's a roll of toilet tissue, okay? And I took the cardboard out of it, stuffed it down there, and then I poured denatured alcohol on it and soaked it up. And it soaked up the thing. And now we have what you call a chafing heater, okay? This is the same type of scenario that we use for chafing dishes under your warmers when you are keeping your food warm, like when you have a celebration. So you can, refill it. You can put more stuff on it, and then all it is it's just burning off the denatured alcohol. Denatured alcohol is a clean burn. I do recommend that you still get a carbon monoxide detector just in case, but just get, it's just what it is. Now, this is not the way it's supposed to look, okay? I just picked it up just to show you that the can is not really hot. It's warm, it's not really hot, okay? But the way you're supposed to do it is put it in a gallon can. These are pint containers. What I did was I put sand or rocks down in here, okay? And then I did that same thing, and I set it down in there and put rocks around it. And now you can, carry this around, and you don't have to worry about it falling over or anything like that. And it'll keep burning as long as you keep fuel in there. Well, the way you put it out is you just take the lid, just like you do with the chafing dishes, cover it up, and it puts it out. Okay, so you can extinguish it, and then relight it. Okay.
Wow.
And neat. Okay. Because all it is the denatured alcohol. Like I say, denatured alcohol is used for cooking stoves and stuff like that. So it's a clean burn. It's the cleanest fuel that you can get to burn with. Okay. But this will heat up. It will stay warm for a long time. It'll heat up. If you're without heat for a while in your house, you can put a couple of these in one room or one in one room. It will heat your house up and keep it. It ain't gonna keep your whole house warm. Everybody be like, well, I'm gonna eliminate my gas bill. No, you won't. But you keep your fuel in there. This is for emergency cases only. So you can pre-make these up. Okay. I got these cans from Menards. The can, the gallon can was $6.99. The pint can was $3.99, and that was cheaper than online, and it was cheaper than Home Depot. So they were just cheapest. The denatured alcohol was cheaper at Menards. It was $14.99. At Home Depot, it was 16 something. So try and get that. You can pre-make these up, store it in your area, keep it, you know, and as long as you seal, you gotta make sure that you, once you soak your toilet tissue, that you seal it up, okay? Don't just let it be open, because it'll, the alcohol will evaporate, and you'll have a dry towel down in there. So that would be a problem. So, and it does get hot, stays warm. So, if you have no other way to keep warm, that'll kind of keep you warm. Even if you camped around it, you know, it'll keep you warm, keep your room warm. As long as you have a heat source, you gotta have a heat source. If you don't have a heat source, you're in trouble, especially if the temperature gets below freezing. So, and who wants to sleep in weather that's 50-some degrees anyway? Cold, that's cold.
Have a bonfire outside.
Right, and a lot of people, that's what a lot of people did in Texas when they lost power. A lot of the water lines froze, the pipes were bursting all over, so they had water everywhere, ice everywhere, and so they started to burn their furniture to keep their house warm. Terrible, yeah.
Just how you burn the house down.
Yeah, they didn't burn, right, you know, but I'm sure they probably put like a little thing in the middle of the floor. If that's what you gotta do, you know, that's what you gotta do. And when I taught the first class, I was also teaching how to, all this lumber that falls in your yard, take and cut it up and stick it to the side, keep it dry, you know, build a little thing, get some wood that you can, in the event that something like that happens, you have some dry wood that you can resort to that, you know, now you can use that for burning, okay? You can bring you know, they have these wood burning stoves now, again. You know how they had the old wood burning stoves years ago that sat in the living room? They have brought those back now. They're kind of expensive. They kind of, you know, you might get one for $600. But it's those cast iron wood stoves that you put wood in, and then it burns and it heats your house up, you know. Not a bad idea if you want to invest in one. I was going to try and turn a barbecue grill into one, but I never did get to it, so we'll see what happens. All right, now going into water purification, okay? Make sure you get some plastic first of all. You can, you might need that for emergency sake, keep your stuff warm and dry, keep your stuff dry. As a curtain, keep the cold air out. With that, you need duct tape. Make sure you get duct tape, okay? Duct tape is really good. Make sure you get a good duct tape. Don't go to Family Dollar and get none of that cheap duct tape, because it ain't gonna do nothing but duck. It'll be a bad thing. So get some decent duct tape that sticks, okay? Going into the water purification, again, you can get water. I got a valve on this thing where I can go out. If these were full, if this is under the gutter, the downspouts, the water would go to here. Then as it fills up in this bucket, it'll drain over into this bucket. And then if I had another bucket, it would drain over into that bucket. So I would keep on, I would just have that one, because you don't want to be trying to move this stuff around. Once it's full of water, you want to leave it where it is. So you drain, you just let the water go into one bucket and pour it into the other bucket. And I got this to where it's connected. And then the water will drain into this bucket. Once this bucket gets full, I'll pop a hole on this side and then go into another bucket. Anytime I need some water, I can go, I put a valve down here where I can turn this on, get a little water out, take it in the house. I got a couple of options. I can go ahead and try and purify it, or I can use it to flush the toilet with. Pour it into the back of the tank and then flush the toilet. If you constantly pour it down the toilet, sometimes you're pouring too much. Just pour it in the back of the tank, fill it up, and then you get the equal amount of flush that you need. You won't be excessively pouring water out. I collected this water off my roof probably over a year ago, and it's in this container. And there's a little sediment in there. Okay, of course I never did purify it, but it is what it is. I just wanted to see, I was letting people see how clean the water looks that came off my roof. Okay, it was actual rainwater. Okay. There's a couple of ways that you can purify water. I have some carbonated charcoal, and if anybody has or has had a fish aquarium, and you know that little black packet that you put in the back and the water constantly ran through, that's what this is. It's carbonated charcoal, and what happens is it purifies, takes the chemicals out of your water. So one way to purify water is by using bleach. Okay, a lot of people don't think like, oh, that's bleach, oh, you can't drink bleach. Well, that's what you're drinking now, it's chlorine. That's what you're getting when they clean the water down in the city. They use chlorine and other chemicals to purify that water, okay? That's why a lot of people use water purification systems in their house, because they want to take the chemical out of the water. So they run it through an additional thing, and it takes those chemicals out. Just like these little things here that go into your refrigerator, okay? These are your little refrigeration filters. It goes through, and it takes, it's a carbon filter inside there, and it gives you fresh water, okay? Or better tasting water, shall I say. I made this water purification system right here, and they have these that you can buy online, but they're pretty expensive, so I made one out of buckets, and what I have is 2 separate buckets. This one has holes in it right here, that when you put water into here, it goes through a couple of filters. I have one big filter, and then it drains into another set of filters down in there, and then it slowly drips into here, and down in here, there's some of this carbonated charcoal down here, and then it slowly drips in here, and it purifies the water, okay? So if I got water from here, I can drop bleach in it, drip, 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 3 or 4, look up how many drops of bleach to a gallon of water to purify water, and it'll tell you how many drops of bleach to do that, just to where you're safe, okay? And then if you want to take that chemical, the bleach out of any chemicals left over, you would run it through your filtration system through here, okay? And now you've got drinkable water, okay? Through this, you can put river water in there. You can put some dirty river water in there. It'll take all the dirt out of it, but it won't take the bacteria out of the water. So therefore, you can use 2 methods. You can use some water purification tablets, but for this one bottle, it will take this one bottle for 5 gallons of water. So these are kind of expensive. So this is not an ideal way to do it. You get, like I said, a gallon of bleach, you use that, get a dropper, and then you can drop so many gallons of bleach in there, or you can use a ultraviolet light, okay? And what this does is it takes, I can hook a pump on this, and it will, once I plug this up to my generator, it'll, or the outlet, whichever one you want to use, an ultraviolet light comes on through here, and it, as the water passes through it, it kills any bacteria that would be or parasites that would be in the water, okay? So that's just an ultraviolet light that just takes all the bacteria out, anything that's living in the water, okay? So this will take the bleach out, this will take the impurities out, the bacteria, okay? Or you can be fancy and get you a ultraviolet light for disinfecting. You can take these lights here and say, for instance, if you have a virus that's in your house, okay? When we had COVID, they were afraid of COVID. You can take this and plug it up, and it's an ultraviolet light. You want to protect your eyes, of course, but you can take this and it will clean the air as well, any bacteria that's in the air. It's a disinfectant. So that's what you can do with those. Let's see here, what else? Make sure that you take, again, some hand tools and store them away. Get extra hand tools to put in your safety kit, okay? That way you can be able to work on things, be able to fix things. A lot of people don't have tools in their house now. You want to make sure that you, in the event that something does happen, you get you some battery operated tools, some sawzalls, some jigsaws, or whatever you might need, because say for instance, if you are trapped in your basement, God forbid, tornado fall, earthquake, things collapse on you, you can cut your way out, okay? You can cut stuff up, you can cut up wood. for your fire if you needed to, if you had some battery operated tools. So try and get some battery operated tools for those purposes. We didn't talk about the generator, that's in the other room, but we can go and talk about that also. Getting solar powered generators. They're online, you can get them online. You need something with over 2,000 kilowatt hours. And you gotta be careful because you'll find some online where they have 1,000 kilowatt hours and the price is pretty low. You can get those, but it's not gonna last. You know, you have to look at how many kilowatts an appliance uses and see how many hours it will take, and that'll tell you how many hours that it will pull your battery down. So you want to get something with a higher kilowatt hour. Remember, kilowatt, KW. It'll be on there. It'll say so many KW kilowatt hours. Okay, so that's what you wanted to get when you're getting a solar generator. Get you some solar panels, hook those up to your generator. We can kind of go and look at those a little bit later on, but you know, those are the things you want to get. See, looks like I've gone over everything except for. Turn me around right quick. Yeah. Yeah, but you want to get stuff like that. There's a lot of things, and if you need to, you know, get in touch with me later on. Over here we have, we can call it an outhouse, we can call it a porta potty, whatever you want to call it. But this puppy here, say for instance, if you don't have any water and you have to go out and dig a little hole out in the yard, okay, you've got a bucket down in here with a potty seat on it, so you can go in here and use your backyard. Okay. Worst case scenarios. These are worst case scenarios. You can use that for camping if you decide to use it for camping. All kinds of stuff. But you want to, you know, get things. Say for instance, if you work camping, how will you survive out in the wild, out in the wilderness, out wherever you would be, without these necessities that you have? Again, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. I think I've gotten everything. Oh, one thing I forgot. Stock up on some charcoal. If you can't do nothing else and you don't have an oven, get you some charcoal, stock up on it, get you some lighter fluid, stock up on it, just for emergency cases. Say for instance, if you had to continually cook outdoors, you know, you can do that. You can still, you know, do most of your cooking outdoors if you didn't do anything else. And we'll talk about also things when we talk about the generators. You want to make sure that with the generator, for emergency purposes, get you some crock pots, some smaller things that can slowly cook your food. Okay, you want to, you know, crock pot is slowly cook your beans, slowly cook your rice or whatever. Different ways, going back to the old school ways of cooking. Amen. So that way you have what you need. Okay? Alright, so I guess we can go back there to the solar power stuff. I guess we'll take a look at that. Walkie-talkies, thank you so much. Get two-way radios. We don't know what we're going to deal with, but your phone may not work. Walkie-talkies, if you get one, you have to get your own frequency license type of deal, so that way you can go further distances. But some of the two-way radios are only short distance. You want to get a long distance one, but then you have to get your own. Can't think of what it's called, but you have to get your own frequency, and then it will give you. And that's something you can get to through the. Can't think of who it is, but once you get your two-way radios, you can kind of look that up and get that, and it will help you out. Okay? Make sure that you get you something to start a fire. Don't be trying to go get flints, trying to strike flints. Okay? Get you some cigarette lighters. Okay? You know, that way that's a shortcut. Instead of trying to get out there and rub two sticks together, start a fire, you can just pull that out and just whoosh. All right, any questions, anybody?
I had a question about medication. What about people who take medication and you're only limited to get so much medication from the pharmacy?
Okay.
especially if you're elderly.
Right. You got two ways of doing that. You can ask them for more. Sometimes they won't give it to you because some drugs are controlled. But if you can get them to back off of it a little bit, instead of, just say if they get a 30-day supply, it's supposed to take 1 pill a day. You know, try and skip a day if they can skip a day, and they can kind of, you know, because it's hard to get extra drugs from, you know, it's hard.
Cause that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be really.
It'll be crazy, yeah. So whatever you have to do to try and get more, but doctor's not gonna say, well, I'll sign for you, they get extras. They're not gonna do that. That's like a free ticket to get their license up.
Only paid for
The only right. So if you can get them to back off of it a little bit, you know, instead of taking one a day, take, you know, skip a day or something every now and then. That way they can kind of start storing up a little bit more, and then still do what you gotta do.
A lot of insurance companies are going to the 90 days because it's cheaper.
I think my mom will get a month supply, I think.
Yeah, 'cause
She gets a
mine's
month
like-
supply?
I think she get a month supply.
Yeah. You can ask if they'll give her a 90
Well,
days.
90 days.
It's only through home delivery, like Amazon, home delivery, Express Script, 90 day.
Yeah.
Oh.
Try that and see if that works, but then, again, you still have to kind of ration them out, because that gives you enough for 90 days, which will still be better than 30 days. You know, because that way, by the time you really need it again, you can perhaps get some more, you know, within that 90
But when you
days.
say skip days and stuff, somebody that may be on medicine that depends on their life, they can't be.
Yeah, they
on
can't
every
skip.
other day.
Yeah, it just, again, it just depends on the drug, it depends on what you're going, some things you're taking for, like, you know, your blood pressure, you can kind of doctor up your blood pressure with the way you eat and then just still make it, but if it's something that they cannot do without, yeah, they can't, there's no way to deal with that, so, you know, just have to be careful with that. Can't do
And my
anything
other
with that.
question was, what about humidifiers? Are those good too still?
They're good too. Humidifiers are excellent. Humidifiers and dehumidifiers, okay? Dehumidifiers are good for this purpose right here. And I've been kind of thinking about this, and I said I'm gonna get a couple of them. Dehumidifiers take water out of the air, okay? If anybody's had a dehumidifier, you can take water out of the air and it'll give you some water in that little bucket. Okay, you have to drain it. So it's taking moisture out of the air and then it puts it in the bucket for you. So you can actually keep getting water from a dehumidifier. Humidifiers, again, is doing the opposite. It's putting humidity in there, putting moisture in the air. And those are good too. If you need to have one of those, they're good. Humidifiers actually help fight bacteria because it puts the moisture in the air. It falls. Okay, so it keeps it, kind of collects it. It collects dust particles and all that stuff in the air. Okay, that's why most people with asthma, it takes the dust particles out of the air so they can breathe a lot easier. Okay, so if you need them, get it. Get whatever you need. If you have problems getting them, go to the thrift store. They have them all the time.
Yeah.
Store one up, put one in the basement, one upstairs, and just to make sure you have one at all times. So, yeah. Any other questions? That's it? Okay. We'll go back and talk a little bit about the generators and then we can head out. Okay? Let me put out my fires.
Action.
All right. Okay, these are the solar power generators, and we got 3 different types. This is an EcoFlow. This is a Marxon. These 2 are Marxons, and this is an EcoFlow. So this is a smaller EcoFlow. I got this one just to have in my truck here and there if I needed something. But these basically will give you power. And what you want to do with these is basically use them for your refrigerator, your freezer, and any other thing. That's why I said getting the solar powered lights for your lighting. You can hook your TV up to this, whatever you want to do. Just like this here, I can turn this heater on, okay? And now I can get heat from this, but it's gonna tell me exactly how long I can let this thing run before it pulls my battery down.
Oh.
So, it's about, So it's going back and forth, it's fluctuating, but that's why I say you gotta make sure, that's why it's important to get those little flame deals, because this here is only gonna last for probably an hour on this generator right here. This one, it may last a little bit longer. This one's like 1,400 kilowatts. This one's 2,000 kilowatts, so it can last a little bit longer if we turn this one on. Let me see. I don't know how long it would last in this one. But you know, and this one here I have hooked up to the solar panels right there in the window. Okay, and what happens is that will charge the battery, and then as I'm using it, you know, I'm taking power from it, but more power is coming into it at the same time. So you can do it that way. Now it's got this one. It'll last 55 minutes on this, which ain't enough. If you had it, that would mess you up overnight. So that's why I brought this stuff in. And I brought in the TV. I was gonna hook that up. Brought in that little stove over there, hooked that up. But again, high-powered heating elements is not gonna last that long. You can get you a gas-powered generator. The only difference is these can go in the house. They won't emit any gas or any fumes. You can see how that's this here that you're hearing that fan. But this here, that's as quiet, as loud as it gets, right there. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off and you'll still hear that. That's as loud as it gets. There's no fumes or nothing like that. But primarily, you want to get a couple of these just for survival for your refrigerator, freezer, and then say from one, if you want to have an extra one for in the house or something like that, doing some things. Because you can hook, say for instance, this one here. I would hook the freezer and the refrigerator up to this. The freezer you can take off at night, unplug it, that way it's not consuming power. The refrigerator you need to keep going all night, okay? So you can put this on there, it'll probably run 15 hours. Your refrigerator will probably run it for like 15, 20 hours, something like that, okay?
How much those cost, about $2,000?
This one, you can get them right now for like 1,100 or so.
I knew it was over 1,000.
Yeah, I got these for, I think, $5.99 or something like that, $400, something like that. But you gotta catch them when they on sale. Catch them on sale. Something, because I had bought, when I first started looking at these, they were $1,500. Then they dropped down to like $1,100. I've seen them as low as I think $8.99, and I was trying to get people to get them. And so, but then they went off sale.
And this
So-
is on Amazon?
No, I got these from Sam's.
Oh,
this one from Sam's. These were Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Sam's has this one in stock.
Mm.
Okay, and again, they just, you know, you just plug whatever you need to plug into it. I don't have a cord to the TV, but you know, it'll work. They'll work on all of that. So I got, these are solar panels right here. This is a different solar panel. This is a little bitty thin solar panel, 100-watt solar panel.
They're like a shotgun.
Right. Okay. So you can plug this up to it. I got this one actually for my van, for my truck, so I can sit it on top of my truck, and because I was constantly doing stuff, and I was like, you know, I had it plugged up to my compressor. I got a compressor in my truck. It was kind of acting up, so I was, you know, sometimes I would plug my compressor into that, and then it would just kind of working on it. But I was using this to keep this charged up. So, and it's flat. It's not like these. These are a little bit more bulky. Do this here first. And you can link these together to where you got double the power. You can get 4 of these and put them together and hook it on one generator, and then you got continual, you know, you get more feed into your generator than you are using out, okay? Because these are 100-watt generator, solar panels. Okay. So they're just regular solar panels, kind of like the ones that you find on people's houses, okay? But those were probably a little bit bigger, okay? And like I say, you can link them together. You just kind of got to Google how to link them together. And then, there you go, that's my phone in there blowing up. But yeah. Yep, so, and then there's a lot more to this that you probably need to learn, you know, how to hook it up, how to get a breaker on it, just in case you get a surge, it shuts off you can, it'll click this off instead of damaging your generator if you get a power surge.
So like with the heaters, put them on the surge. Cause I know at our house, our heaters, if we crank it up too high, it always do the power surge, and then it's, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like it,
it'll trip a breaker.
Triple breaker, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's because you got so much on one line.
Mhm.
Okay, so say for instance, if you had the microwave and you plug this up into the line that's on the microwave, it's too much for that breaker, and it'll trip it right there. If you, so it's best to just kind of move it to another outlet if you can move it to another outlet, But for the most part, if you can do without heaters and run that, you're better off, It just depends on how much you put on that one line, because outlets go from the breaker. It might be an outlet here, outlet there, and they're linked together. So if you got too many items on one line, then it'll shut that breaker off. It'll trip the breaker.
Gotcha.
Keep it from getting hot. So that's what happens with that. Most of the time, lights are on separate lines, and then the outlets are on other lines. So sometimes they might link together and you run up to the light switch, but so. Yep. Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's good information.
Super cool. Yeah, I was hoping a lot of other people, but a lot of the people that I